I'm Julie Neame. Ahead in this bulletin, blood-curdling screams. The first witness in the Oscar Pistorius trial describes what she heard on the night of the killing. An Australian mother sentenced to jail after being found guilty of drug use in Indonesia. And it's party time, which A-listers celebrated well into the night after this year's Oscars. But first, the opening witness in the trial of Oscar Pistorius has told a South African court she heard a woman's blood-curdling screams before shots rang out on the night of the killing. Earlier, the Paralympian pleaded not guilty to the murder of his model girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp, with his lawyers arguing the scene was tampered with.
That the scene was contaminated, disturbed and tampered with.
We argue that the accused's version during the bail application and today cannot be reasonably possibly true, should be rejected, and as the only inference from the circumstantial evidence would be that the accused shot and killed the deceased with direct intent to kill.
The trial is expected to run for at least 2 weeks. An Australian mother has been sentenced to 8 months jail in Indonesia after being found guilty of drug use. Julianne Joseph from Western Australia was arrested on the island of Lombok in October after allegedly being caught with more than 1.5 grams of methamphetamine. Police made the discovery after she was involved in a traffic accident. With time already served, the 32-year-old truck driver will be eligible for release in June. Russia has threatened to attack Ukraine if its troops do not surrender, according to unconfirmed reports. It's been claimed that Ukrainian forces have been given a deadline of less than 24 hours to surrender or face military assault. It comes as hundreds of Russian troops gather outside army bases in Crimea. Armoured vehicles have also been spotted on the Russian coastline. World leaders have warned Russia will face consequences for violating Ukraine's sovereignty.
It's all like a bad dream from the Soviet past. Russian forces in the thousands seizing territory, armored vehicles lining the roads, the Russian Navy pouring in more forces, and Ukraine's outgunned, outnumbered troops imprisoned on their own bases by stone-silent Russian soldiers. The big question now, will Vladimir Putin get away with it? Secretary of State Kerry told George Stephanopoulos there will be a tough response from the U.S. and allies.
You know, Russia may be able to invade Crimea, but in the end, Russia will isolate itself.
Already, the markets are punishing Putin with the ruble, Russia's currency, plunging to all-time lows. But the deed is done, and here in Crimea, most people have welcomed the Russian troops, rejecting the pro-Western revolution in the other half of their country last week. It's calm on the surface. But as we spoke with a woman holding a Ukrainian flag, a tiny gesture of defiance against Russia, we saw the fierce passions just below the surface.
This morning, blinding snow and pounding sleet.
Talk about sleet coming down.
Attacking half the nation. From Texas to Oklahoma. Ground-shaking thunder snow. And this rare sight in Norman, Oklahoma. Thunder, sleet, lightning. In southern Illinois, car windshields transforming into blinding sheets of solid ice. In Wichita, Kansas, an ice road nightmare. Hundreds of weather-related accidents leading to at least 8 deaths. In Arkansas, this SUV losing control and plunging right off a bridge, injuring 2 and killing 1. And this semi in Oklahoma City, overturning and ripping open. The irony, it was hauling cat litter, often used for melting ice. On that same highway, countless vehicles crippled by unbearably slick conditions.
This car over here, it was just sliding, and they asked if I could reverse. I couldn't even reverse, because if I reversed, then I'd hit this car in front of me.
It's part of the same system that caused this 100-car black ice pileup in Denver, killing 1 person.
Screams that shattered the night. A dramatic first day of testimony in the Oscar Pistorius trial. Europe's biggest crisis of the century. Russia threatens to invade Ukraine with a massive military force. Flying into foreign hands. Tony Abbott opens the door for a Qantas sale to overseas investors, but refuses to bail out the airline with government cash. The PM joins us live. Our Golden Girls, Aussies, take over the Oscars as three of our finest cinematic talents take home statues. Awkward moment. We'll look at everything that happened on stage and off on the biggest night in showbiz. And what about this? Croc versus Snake. Find out who wins this epic showdown in outback Queensland. The thought behind the scenes in LA was bad. Good morning, folks. It's Tuesday, the 4th of March. It's good to have your company here this morning.
Oscar Pistorius has maintained his innocence on the first day of his murder trial. The double amputee is charged with killing his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp on Valentine's Day of last year. Returning now to the situation unfolding in Ukraine, and Nine's Amelia Ballinger joins us now. Amelia, there is no back down from Vladimir Putin on what is a very volatile situation.
Not at all, Deb. In fact, he seems to be stepping things up. In the last couple of hours, Russia has reportedly issued Ukrainian forces an ultimatum asking them to surrender control of Crimea or face a strong military assault. That threat or that warning was published by a Russian news agency, and they attributed it to a Russian fleet commander. And although the Ministry of Defense in Russia hasn't actually confirmed this yet, people are obviously taking it very, very seriously as this crisis worsens. If it does in fact turn out to be legitimate, it will be the most obvious serious threat that Russia has made to date. Of course, they have had a military presence for the last week or so in Crimea. Just today, more Russian fighter jets seen in Ukrainian airspace, and of course those military bases in Sevastopol surrounded by thousands of troops. But it would appear while they have taken over the Crimea area, they now want Ukraine to officially surrender. All of this comes as there are desperate attempts from Western diplomats to halt any kind of action before it starts. The British Foreign Minister William Hague has arrived in Kiev. He's been speaking to politicians there. He said today that Vladimir Putin cannot expect to behave in the way that he's behaving and face no consequences. US Secretary of State John Kerry is headed in that direction as well. He, of course, echoes the same sentiments. This kind of behaviour cannot go on, but at this stage it would appear that Vladimir Putin and his government are simply ignoring everybody else and going ahead as they have planned. The world is at this point, Deb, just watching and waiting to see what will happen next.
Very disturbing developments indeed. Amelia, thank you for the update. While Schapelle Corby enjoys her freedom in Kuta, another Australian woman has been sentenced to 8 months jail in Indonesia after being found guilty of drug use. Julianne Joseph from Western Australia was arrested on the island of Lombok in October after allegedly being caught with more than 1.5 grams of methamphetamine. Police made the discovery after she was involved in a traffic accident. With time already served, the 32-year-old truck driver will be eligible for release in June. The brother of one of the young girls accused of a shocking assault on an elderly blind man on the Gold Coast has claimed the video of the attack was edited to make the girls look like villains. The Courier Mail is reporting Mitchell Watmo, the brother of 21-year-old Lana, has defended the pair on Facebook. He claims the victim provoked the attack and also denied his sister and 17-year-old Lainey Cameron hurled racial slurs at the 77-year-old. Watmo was released on bail. Cameron has been remanded in custody.
They're all happy yesterday. I reckon that was one of the great moments in Oscar history right there. That's the selfie that broke Twitter. And all the highlights in the Academy Awards are coming up. Terrific photo. And the Oscars do dominate the front pages this morning as well. The Oscars, the West Australian shows Cate Blanchett in all her glory leading an Aussie haul at the Academy Awards.
Golden Girls, Melbourne's Herald Sun shows a beaming Cate Blanchett, who won for her role in Blue Jasmine, and a kissing Catherine Martin, who scored 2 gongs to become our most prolific Oscar winner.
To the rest of the day's news, and Melbourne's Age reports Qantas is set to be opened up to foreign investment through the federal government rejected a debt guarantee for the airline. Tony Abbott comes up after 7 o'clock this morning to discuss all of that.
The Australian reveals Operation Sovereign Borders has been dealt a blow, with around half of the Navy's patrol boats stuck in port after major structural cracks were discovered.
From HSU to prison stew. Sydney's Daily Telegraph says disgraced former HSU boss Michael Williamson was behind bars last night and he will be sentenced for siphoning almost $1 million from the union.
The Sydney Morning Herald says almost 50,000 of New South Wales's most vulnerable children are still not being seen by caseworkers from the Department of Family and Community Services.
Thank God I'm free. The Adelaide Advertiser has the extraordinary story of missionary John Short, who has miraculously been released from North Korea.
How can they be so cruel? The Northern Territory News reports that Jaden Hall, who suffers from epilepsy and autism, has had to suffer through another horror. A thief, posing as a relative, has stolen the sick boy's donations. Terrible.
The Hobart Mercury asked the question, is this the man to give Tassie an AFL team? Gil McLachlan is shaping up to be the new AFL Chief Executive.
For the headline of the day,
Dramatic.
Crocodile Dundee. Brisbane's Courier Mail has the great show.
We take a look at what's happening with the weather in your part of Australia, where you're waking up this morning. And if you're in Cairns, expect a few showers with a top of 30 degrees. Townsville, a few showers and 31. Brisbane, a shower or two and 28. The Gold Coast heading for a top of 28 as well, with a couple of showers about. Sydney, a little morning drizzle with a top of 26 today. Canberra will be mostly sunny, 28 the top there. If you're in Melbourne, expect a mainly sunny day and a warm 32 degrees. Hobart also heading for a warm one, 30 the top. In Adelaide, sunshine and 34 today. Perth heading for a sunny 33. Alice Springs mostly sunny and 34. And if you're in Darwin, expect an afternoon shower or a storm today with a top of 32 degrees. Let's have a look at the forecast rainfall and showers and storms across the north today and down through the eastern parts of the Northern Territory. Also in western parts of Queensland and New South Wales, and some isolated showers along the eastern coastline.